This is Rebecca Warrington from rjmindbody.com. Welcome to our gentle stretch class. So today we're on our final day of the discussing the Manomaya Kosha, which is the mind body. It's basically we're talking about how the mind kind of gets in the way of our peace of mind, our calm. There's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of expectations. This is the part of the koshas that really resonates with all of us because it's so much a part of our lives, daily lives, sleeping lives. And how it relates to yoga is our yoga practice is there's different parts of yoga. It's a physical practice, which we're doing a physical practice, but it's also very much helping us to calm the other areas of our being or our bodies that get in our way. So when you're doing a yoga practice and you're moving and you're stretching and you're flowing, you're able to, you're working on also calming the mind down so that it's not constantly talking and chattering. It's like that, we call it the monkey mind. So that when you get off the mat, you feel different. You feel more relaxed. You feel able to kind of get on with things, which was why morning practice is really good, very helpful. But it also, we learn how to do this off the mat. So this is like the rehearsal for the rest of our day, or the rest of our life, I suppose. So the mantra for this practice today is I am enough. So what that really means is that it doesn't mean you accept, you stop growing. That's it, I'm enough, I'm fine. It means that it's helping you to, it's a grounding affirmation or positive statement that helps us to kind of keep us centered so that we're not always trying to self-improve constantly. Improvement, self-help, all these things that we look for. It brings us back to the moment, and it's accepting what we are right now. We can't change anything this second, but from this you can then expand and grow. If you're new to yoga, yoga is, like I said, it's physical, but it's also, there's a very much, it's not, I don't even want to call it a spiritual component. You can call it spiritual, but it's really working with the whole body as opposed to just the physical part. Because whatever we do in life, even if it's a sport, anything that we do involves the mental, the emotional, and the physical. So all that goes together. So that's where yoga is so different from regular forms of exercise. But if you're doing some of our exercise actually needs to have a mental, you need to clear your mind. You have to be able to kind of focus and be present depending on what kinds of things you're doing. So that's what yoga is about. And it's also flexibility, it's about strength. So you get everything, and that's probably why I was so attracted to it. So I am enough is the mantra for today. We're going to do a very gentle flow because it's so that we can keep ourselves nice and cool. It's a cooling type of class. So let's just start sitting tall, grounding ourselves first before we even start to move. And this flow is very gentle, slow, and very fluid. So just find that seat, even if you're tired and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know how I'm going to get going. Don't worry, you're here now. You're on your seat. Let yourself just be here. And connect with the breath, a gentle breath today. A Ujjayi breath, but more of a calming one where it's just inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. It's a little gentle. Nothing too complex, nothing that requires too much of an effort. Notice if your mind is off, it's full already. When we wake up, we often, our mind gets quite busy. Let's just bring ourselves back. Let's take just 2 more breaths here. And let's just gently flutter our eyelids and open our eyes. And we're going to come off of our seat and come to the top of the mat. We're going to go through a flow. So very simple, kind of like a moon, if you've done moon salutation before, a similar type of flow. So just bring your arms in front as if you're carrying something in your arms, a bundle of something. And let your eyes, just close them for a moment. Take a breath in, as if it's more about receiving, being open. And then elbows resting next to your sides. Open the arms as if let the elbows stay close to your sides, and then take your hands behind your back and just push with the flat hand back into a gentle back bend. So nothing too intense. For me, I've been doing this a little bit already, so I'm warmed up, but you might not be. Come all the way down to the ground, forward bend. In this forward bend, don't worry about the straightening of legs. We're concentrating on our joints right now, our hip joints, knee joints, shoulder joints, ankle joints, all the joints in our body. So a little gentle flows from side to side, wiggles of the hips, whatever feels nice for you. And let the breath just flow here. Feel that wonderful releasing. And then coming back to stillness, take your feet in a little bit so they're hip distance apart. Step your right foot back. And keep your right knee off the ground and bring your left hand inside your left foot. Heel toe that left foot out a little bit and just turn it to about a 45-degree angle. So it's a little Charlie Chaplin style foot. Take your right hand, place it underneath your, right shoulder and wrist underneath one another, or wrist underneath your shoulder, and lift your left arm back. So you're kind of twisting over to the left. If you need to place your knee down, that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, circle that left arm around. And I want you to incorporate, so this is the shoulder joint, but also you can kind of move your hips and your knees if that feels good to you, or keeping your body just straight. And then place the last circle, take your left hand, place it inside next to your right hand, and then step your left foot back into your downward dog. If you're not a downward dog person, just come onto your knees and press and reach forward. Other ways, downward dog people, little sways of the hips, bending and straightening the knees, thinking in terms of water today, flow, creating that wave-like movement with the body. Some of our yoga practice is where we just hold stretches, which is very beneficial, but also these are different types of stretches. They're dynamic stretches. And then let's lower the knees to the ground. Let's reach your arms forward and just melt your heart to the ground, forehead rests on the ground. So this isn't, your hips are not pressing back to the heels. This is not a child's pose. It's like a puppy dog or a melting heart. And let's take 2 more breaths here. Breathing in and feeling that lengthening of your arms, your armpits, or getting that stretch, shoulders, upper back. Take an inhale and lower yourself down onto your tummy, elbows on the ground, underneath your shoulders. Lift up through lift the thighs and the pubic bone off the ground and come into like a little mini cat stretch. So that means you dome your upper back and then lower yourself down. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, slide your chest forward. Elbows are glued to the ground as if you're trying to pull them back, but they're not going anywhere. As you pull them back, your chest extends forward. Now from here, you can take this a little further, slide the hands a little further in and do a little bit of like a wave from side to side, or what they call sloshing. I'm not sure if I like the word slosh. But from side to side, if that hurts your back, then don't do this one. And then come all the way down onto your tummy, all the way down. Stretch your arms forward, forehead on the ground, hands together. Take 3 breaths here. So that just laying on your tummy. Forehead down, legs down. This actually feels really nice to be in this space. Take an inhale and exhale the hands back next to your chest or slightly in front. And then lift your heart up, coming into that cobra. Elbows are bent, squeezing the elbows in towards your sides. And opening up the front of the body. And then exhale, lift back up into your downward dogs. Either extended child's pose with the arms forward, the knees on the ground, or downward dog. And let's do this thing, it's called a kind of a wavy type of movement where you drop your knees down, but they just hover. And then shoot yourself forward as if you're doing that luge, or not luge, where you're jumping with the skis. I have to remember what that's called. And then exhale back into your downward dog. Bend the knees and then shoot yourself forward and then back. And some of us, this might not work for you, so don't do it. Just do your pedaling of the feet. And then let's come back to stillness. Bring your left foot in towards your right foot. Inhale your right leg up to the sky. And then just place that right foot back next to your left. Then inhale your left leg up to the sky. You don't have to do this either. Place your left foot down. Now take a breath in and step your right foot between your hands and turn your whole body to the left side of the mat, paralleling those feet, straddling. We're in now a wide-legged straddle. You can keep your hands on the ground and you can do the little bends and straightenings of the legs, working those hip joints. Or you could slide the hands from side to side, washing the ground, the floor, maybe with your hair as well. Or hands on your ankles, fingers wrapped around those ankles, if that you like that. Whatever feels just right for you. Just let yourself float from side to side, opening up those hip joints. And then take a breath in and walk your hands back to the front of the mat, right toes turning forward. Step your left foot next to your right foot. Forward fold. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, ragdoll yourself, which means hanging. The arms are just hanging down all the way up. One vertebra at a time, and squeeze the shoulder blades together. Whew. And then inhale, reach your arms forward again into that gesture of holding, receiving. I'm going to spin around so I don't lose you here, but you stay where you are. We're going to do the other side. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, open the elbows so that they're hinging open. Hands behind your back. Take a breath in. And as you breathe out, press into that lower back. Slide that tailbone under and come into that back bend. Nothing too intense. Inhaling and exhaling, lowering yourself down all the way into your forward bend. Take a moment here. Take a moment to explore your forward bend. Nice deep breaths in and out, sways from side to side. Maybe take your hands to the right and then to the left. Then coming back to stillness, take a breath in, and as you breathe out, step your left foot back and turn your right toes out to a Charlie Chaplin 45-degree angle. Left hand, wrist underneath your shoulder, and then bring your right arm back. You can always lower that left knee down. Yeah, or keep it up. Reach it back, take a breath in, and circle that arm. Let's do 3 sets at your own pace. If that doesn't feel good on your arm, your shoulder, then don't do the circle. Just keep the arm lifting. And maybe go back a little bit, get that other side. Take a breath in and take your right hand back next to your left hand. Step back into your downward dog. And just do a little bit of a wiggle from side to side. So I am enough. I always struggled with that myself, and I still struggle because every time I say it, my insides are going, no, I need to do more. I need to be better. But it actually doesn't mean that. It just means for right now, you're accepting yourself as they are. Lower your knees to the ground, walk your hands forward, and let your heart melt to the ground. Hips and knees are in line. Tailbone lifts and forehead rests on the ground. So take a breath in. And take a breath out. Ooh, this always gets me, this one. And then take an inhale. Lower yourself down onto your tummy. Elbows resting on the ground underneath your shoulders. This is called Sphinx pose. Lift up. Lift the thighs off the ground, the pubic bone off the ground. Come into that kind of mini cat stretch, rounding through the spine, and then lower back down. Take a breath in and lift your heart. As if, and your elbows are super glued to the ground. You're pressing and you're trying to move them back, but they're going nowhere. And as you do that, your chest telescopes forward. Soften the shoulders down. Take a breath in, and as you breathe out, you can pick the elbows up and do a little bit of a kind of a flowy movement with your upper body, but squeeze your bottom cheek. So make sure your glute muscles are on fire here, protecting that lower back. One of the things we do in yoga is we really work on tightening those glute muscles so that your lower back doesn't carry the burden of the pressure that the lower back typically would in our everyday life. Slide your hands forward, come all the way down, and bring the hands together. And take 3 breaths here. Take a pause here, but breathe it. Try and get the breath into the rib cage, to the back of the body, where most of our lungs are. The majority of our lungs is the back of the body, but we breathe always from the front, just out of habit. And then take an inhale and exhale. Slide the hands either next to your chest or slightly in front, and lift your heart. Squeeze those elbows towards your rib cage, elbows bent. Lift up into that cobra. Take your bottom cheeks, squeeze them together. And then take a breath in, lower down, and slide the hands next to the chest. Exhale, downward dog. Oh. And from here, if you want, in downward dog, you can come into extended child's if you need that instead of a downward dog, or you can do that little movement where you bend, it's quite big, knees down and then shoot forward. And then press back, and then down, and lift forward as if you have skis on and you're doing those ski jumps. Is that what, I think that's what it's called, but there's a name for it. If you know, just let me know, send me a little message. And so a few of these, I'm sure I could just look it up. And then come back to stillness. If your wrists are beginning to hurt, come into your extended child's pose. Bring your left foot in towards your right foot. Inhale your right leg up to the sky. And exhale, lower that right foot down. Inhale your left leg up to the sky. And then exhale, lower that left foot down. Now step your left foot between your hands, or some of us don't find that very easy, so help it. And then spin yourself towards the right side of the mat. Open the legs wide.
So you're now straddling the mat. And we're going to go back into that swaying from side to side. I'm quite low here just because I've been doing this a while. Some of us might not be as low. You don't have to compare yourself to me. Obviously there's no one else in the class in my, well, who knows if you're doing it with somebody else, but when you're in a class, it's very easy to compare. And it can work as an inspiration, but it can also make you feel bad about yourself. So just, you're in your body right now. So do what's best for you. And then let's spin our left foot forward, frame the left foot, and step your right foot next to your left. Forward fold, you're at the front of your mat. Take a moment here, stretching out the backs of those legs. So now let the knees straighten, let the legs straighten if possible. Maybe take your arms and wrap them behind your knees. And then release the hands to the ground. And let's step back into our downward dog and then lower the knees to the ground and take a child's pose where now your bottom is resting on your heels, forehead resting on the ground. So take a few breaths here, letting yourself settle into this stretch, which is your lower back. So our next kosha, which starts next week, is the second to last. It's the wisdom body. So it really, we talk about the instinct, the intuition. We're now blending the heart and the mind together. So it's not just the mind, which can be kind of not so interesting after a while, but the heart and mind, they work hand in hand. So it's not all heart and not all mind, but the two, and that's what we're going to be concentrating in the fourth kosha next week, which is pretty cool. Listening to your intuition. So coming back, coming up and coming onto that right hip, and then extend your legs and just shake them out. So what we're doing here, you're going to bring your left leg, I'm going to show you on this angle. You're going to bend that left leg, and your left heel is on the outside of that left hip. Some of you can double up. If you've done the hero pose before, don't hesitate to do that. We're going to do single, I'm going to do a single one, single-legged. If your knee starts to hurt, you're going to come up and extend your leg. What we're doing is we're targeting the front of our, so we're stretching out our quads, our hip flexors, psoas muscles, lower back, all connected. Knee joint, we get to stretch that out. So just take your hand, left hand, and just slide the skin a little bit further back, and then come down. Some of us might not come down at all, where this is just enough. Some of us can come onto our forearms. Some can come all the way onto the back. I'm going to stay slightly up. Now, if the top of the feet are killing you, because this is stretching out the top of your foot too, you might be fine everywhere else but the top. What you can do in that position is just lift back up, because then you're not putting as much pressure on the top of the foot. Any pain in that left knee, come out. So what we're doing is we're going to hold this for a few breaths. Come back into your body, return to the breathing, so that we have an opportunity to really work the deeper, the muscles, the fascia, the connective tissue, which is the connective tissue, and the joints. And then slowly walk yourself up. And then if you can keep it like this, that's great. If not, then take your left leg and place it inside your right. So you just take it and place it inside. If not, fold over your front leg. Flex your right foot. So there's a lot of stuff happening here, but not all of us can be in this position comfortably. So you have to adjust accordingly to whatever your body can cope with. It's really trying to get the thigh to stretch the top and the knees, and then walk yourself back up, and then extend your legs. If you did a double, just come out and do a shake. And then we'll do the other side. So bend your right knee, make sure the right heel is on the outside. You're gonna feel different. One leg is gonna feel different from the other. Lean back. This is called hero's pose or Vrasana in Sanskrit. One-legged. And what you're doing is feel that stretch all the way through that top leg to the thigh. Oh, we don't do this stretch often enough, ever, really. Even if we're doing the standing one where you grab hold of your foot and you bring it to your bottom, it's not as intense as this because your foot is pushing into the ground, which is pretty tough. Then lift yourself back up and decide what you're going to do with your right leg, whether you're going to turn it inward or keep it as is and fold over that left leg. If you're in double heroes, then just bring both legs in front and straighten. So now you're stretching out the left hamstring, and then lift yourself back up and untwist those legs. Let's just hug the knees into the chest. Give yourself a nice hug here. Drop your forehead towards your knees. So the next kosha is also very insightful. And then let's walk your feet towards your bottom towards your feet. Lower yourself down. See if you can lower yourself slowly, using lots of these muscles, the core muscles, to lower down the back muscles, which is part of the core, all the way down, all the way down, all the way down, until finally you reach the ground. Stretch through those arms, stretch through those legs. And then hug your knees into your chest. And little rocks from side to side. Ah, my favorite. Always loving this. Open the arms out, never gets old. Take your knees over to the left. Turn your gaze to the right. Right shoulder, if it is up, just take if it's unable to touch the ground, it's telling you something about the flexibility of your spine, because ultimately you want that to drop down. Take your knees further down below your hips. If it's fine, then bring them higher. Turn your gaze to the right. Take your whole spine and twist it, hydrating that spine. Oh, and then hug your knees. Bring your knees back up. Give yourself a hug, forehead to your knees. Stretch out the whole length of the spine, and then lower your head back down. Drop your knees to the right. So we always end in a spinal twist and shavasana. Lots of predictability in the ending, but it's the purpose behind this twist is that we've just worked every part of our body pretty much. And this is a nice way of kind of wringing out any residual tension that you might have accumulated through the practice. Just even from learning new things, doing different things. And then hug your knees into your chest, and then extend your left foot to the left corner of the mat, right to the right corner. I have too many things on my... And then let the arms open up a few inches from the body. Palms, spin the palms up, and lift your shoulders up and slide the shoulder blades under, and then lower yourself back down, closing the eyes. And let your whole body melt into the earth. Take 2 to 5 minutes here. Even though I have to close the class, stay here. And when you come out of your shavasana, come out slowly, rolling to the right side and pausing in a fetal shape, and then coming into your cross-legged seat, giving yourself a few little pauses until you move on with your day. I will find my way up into my easy seat to seal the practice. As I bring my hands in front of my heart, in this gesture of gratitude, compassion, and love, filling yourself up first and giving from the surplus. We can't give if we don't have anything to give. I am enough. I am enough. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of the day. Namaste. This is Rebecca Warrington from rjmindbody.com. And don't forget, celebrate Saturday, which is 9 a.m. tomorrow, an hour-long class, and I take the highlights from the week. It is an amazing class to just kind of start your weekend, and we kind of go through what I did this week, and then we move on to next week, which will be another interesting class, interesting week, and learning not just about the physical, but we're going to be learning about, we're going to be really doing a lot of work on flexibility next week, but also the whole idea of intuition and wisdom and heart and mind blending. See you soon.